So we're going to have a quiz on Wednesday. I would suggest that those of you that multitude of you that chose not to do any homework over the weekend, that maybe you do a little homework before Wednesday to get some practice in. So, on Friday, we learned how to find the vertex. This is, just look for a minute. You don't have to write this down. We're going to go back to our note sheets in a second. We learned how to look at an equation in vertex form and say what the vertex is. What's the vertex of that parabola? -1, -4. What's the axis of symmetry?
X equals -1.
Perfect. It's always x equals that coordinate. And which way does this guy open? Up. The only way they open down is if that is a negative. Now, when the equations are in that form, it's really easy, isn't it? But they're usually not in that form. So get out your note sheets. And on the second page is a worksheet. A long time ago. Notice there are 6 problems. I'm going to do one of them for you. C looks hard, so I'm going to do C. This is review. So I am not going to do all of them. You're going to have some time to work on them. But I'm going to go back through the steps in problem C. Please work along with me. Our job is to make this equation look like this, so that you can tell me the vertex, axis of symmetry, and direction of opening. Who remembers step 1? Okay, so get rid of this number right here. That number can't be there. So we're going to times everything by 2, including the y. So 2 times this, 2 times this, 2 times this, 2 times this. Write down these steps, take whatever notes you need to, because this is the only example I'm going to do. I did 4 of them in your note sheets on Friday. You can look back at those too. Now what has to be done? Lindsay? The 14 has to come over here. Remember, we are getting ready to complete the square. Okay, now what? Complete the square, which means do what? Take half of this number and square it. So half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. One more time. Zach Bond, where did that 4 come from, that blue 4? Where did that come from?
You divide it half of 4 and then square.
Half of this number right here, and then square. Now, why did we do that? So that this could be written like this, right? What goes in the parentheses? X minus 2. x minus 2. And over here I have 2I minus 10. Now we are not done, are we? Remember, this is your goal. So what do we got to do to get there? Add the 10 back over. Is that okay? Then one more thing to do. Divide by 2. And remember, when you divide by 2, you divide the parentheses by 2, not what's in the parentheses, just the quantity and the number. And when we write that, we don't write parentheses over 2, we write what? 1/2 parentheses plus 5. Dividing by 2 is multiplied by 1/2, and that's the way we write it. Don't divide what's in the parentheses. That doesn't change. That stays x minus 2. So where's our vertex? 2. What's my axis of symmetry?
X equals 2.
And which way does this open? Now, does anybody have a question about any step of that procedure? Because you're going to do it on the other 5 problems on this side of the page. Everybody good? All right, turn the page over, the worksheet over. Notice the equations look exactly the same, and the directions are exactly the same. We're still finding vertex, axis, symmetry, direction of opening, but how am I supposed to do it? Using the axis of symmetry formula. What you were just doing here is putting the equation into vertex form. You rewrote your equation in vertex form. Now I'm going to show you another way to accomplish the same thing. So let's do A. And we're going to do it using the axis of symmetry formula. X equals negative b over 2a. Now, what do you think this b and a thing? Well, what's that? Do you think? Here's your equation. What do you think a and b are? A, b, and here's c. We don't need it. But that's just like the quadratic formula. A, b, and c. Same a, b, and c you always had. So your axis of symmetry for this problem will be negative b, which is 6, over 2a, which is 6. So your axis of symmetry is x equals 1. Now tell me about my vertex. If the axis of symmetry is x equals 1, then what can you tell me about my vertex right off the bat? The x-coordinate's 1. Kids, the x-coordinate of the vertex is always the axis of symmetry in a quadratic function. So if you know your axis of symmetry, you automatically know your x-coordinate. how do you suppose we can find the y coordinate? Plug it into the problem. If I know x is 1, I will just plug it in and that will give me y. So if I put in 1, what's 1 squared times 3? 6 times 1 plus 1. So what's that add up to? -2. So my vertex is at 1, -2. Which way does this parabola open? A is your determiner. Is A positive? Yep. What does that mean? A lot of people like this way better. I think it's faster. All right, let's do one more of these. Which one looks hard? That was A, we just did A. Which one looks hard? D? You say D? E? Well, I think E is easy as long as you can keep track of your A and B. What's your A in this problem? 1. What's your B in this problem? 0. There's no B term, so it's 0. So when we do our formula, x equals -b over 2a, what are we going to have? -0 over 2, which is just 0. So your axis of symmetry is x equals 0. What does that tell you about your vertex? It's 0 something. X is 0.
So y equals -10.
In order to find y, we plug in the 0, and yes, Moses, you're right, we get -10. That's our vertex. How did we get -10? We plugged in 0, because that's what my axis of symmetry was. Which way does it open? Depends on this coefficient right here. What's that coefficient? That's not a 0. I mean, I drew that in there. What's this coefficient right here? That's a 1. That's a positive 1. So this guy opens up. Are there any equations on this paper that open down? D, B. That's it. D and B open down. Because they have leading coefficients that are negative. All right, I'm going to do one more. Oh, Mr. McLean. Let's do one more. Pick a hard one.
C.
No, which one are we doing? Pick another hard one. C? All right, let's do C. This is the last one, gang. Then you're on your own. So pay attention. Here we go. Okay, directions say use the axis of symmetry formula. What's the formula? X equals -b over 2a. So what do we have for this problem? Jamal. Actually, -b would be 4 over 2a. What's 2 times a half? 1. So your axis of symmetry is x equals 4. Is everybody okay with that? You have a calculator to use if you can't do it without. What is our vertex then? I don't know, but I do know the x-coordinate is 4.
Yeah.
How do I find y? Plug 4 in up here. So what's 4 squared? A half of 16.
7. I mean not 7. It's 1. The answer's 1.
Oh, maybe, I don't know, Moses. 4 squared is 16. Half of 16 is 8. Minus 4 times 4 would be minus 16 plus 1.
-7.
So this gives me negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7. Yes, indeed. Which way is it open? Okay? All right. 2 things and then I'm going to be done with you. Work a little bit on your homework. We are going to have a quiz on Wednesday. All right? The next time we're together, we're going to have a quiz. I reserve the right to put a problem like this on the quiz. I reserve the right to put a problem like you did at the very beginning of the period, where you complete the square and find the vertex form. The other thing I reserve the right to put on the quiz is the ones that were in last night's homework that you didn't do, most of you. It says write the equation of the linear function where f of 1 is 3 and f of 2 is negative 5. Oh yeah. Who remembers what's going on here? Ashley.
It's the first one's gonna be 1, 3.
This is the point. This is just a point.
Yeah.
She's exactly right. This is the point 1, 3, and this is the point.
2.
And what am I supposed to be doing? Finding the equation of the line. So what do? I've got 2 points here. What do? I find their slope. So 3 minus negative 5 and 1 minus 2 gives me negative 8. Someone nod or something. And then what? I can do y equals mx plus b, or I can do point slope, whatever you want. So 3 equals negative 8 times 1 plus b. So 3 equals negative 8 plus b. It looks like b is 11. So your equation would be y equals what? Negative 8x plus 11. Any issue with that? All right, then what I want you to do right now, your homework is just this page in your note packet, the page that we've been working on. There's 6 problems on the front, 6 problems on the back, but I've already done 4 of them for you. So get busy.